Parts of the U.S. South and Midwest brace for flooding and possible tornadoes Monday. This followed a weekend of deadly torrents and powerful winds that claimed at least 15 lives. Heavy rain caused the roof of a furniture store in northern Oklahoma to collapse early Monday, although no one was injured, and parts of the state remained under flood and flash flood warnings after excessive rain over the weekend. The Illinois River is well above the major flood stage of 18 feet.
A strong earthquake struck in a sparsely populated area of southeast Alaska near its border with Canada's Yukon Territory on Monday, followed by a series of minor seismic events. At a magnitude 6.2, the trembler hit northwest of Mosquito Lake, a hamlet with a population of about 300. Earthquakes of that size could cause considerable damage to poorly built or badly designed structures, according to the USGS. There were no immediate reports of casualties or property damage from the quake. This was one of more than 13,000 earthquakes recorded in Alaska this year.
A wildfire in Georgia has burned more than 100,000 acres of the Okefenokee National Wildlife Refuge, and according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, it could take until November to put the fire out completely. About 1/4 of the wildlife refuge has been burnt, and the blaze is only 8% contained so far. Spokesman Mark Davis said, "The firefighters' plan is to contain the fire as best they can, hoping that nature will cooperate with some rainfall."
According to a new national survey on children's eating habits, American toddlers are more likely to eat French fries than green vegetables on any given day. Many young kids also go without any vegetables at all. The research showed that 1 in 4 6 to 11 months olds and 1 in 5 1-year-olds had no reported vegetable consumption at all on days they were surveyed. About 26% of 1-year-olds ate French fries the day before the survey, compared with 7.5% who ate dark green vegetables and about 17% who ate deep yellow vegetables, according to the results. The survey also revealed a decline in consumption of healthy fruits and vegetables among 1-year-olds. This is a far cry from the American Academy of Pediatrics' recommendation that young children have vegetables with every meal and snack. The survey also found that nearly 3 out of every 5 infants aren't getting any breast milk at all.
All right. If we can go ahead and get the first bout to the ring.
An electric crowd watching each boxing fight with anticipation. Hit after hit leads to winners, leads to the main event.
Oh, I'm so excited. This is a long time coming, so it's a really big day.
Years of training, but now Amaya Zafar gets ready for her first fight fully covered and wearing a hijab, the first person to do so in a USA boxing event. That alone stirs the crowd as she gets into the ring. After 3 rounds and a hard fight, Amaya did not win.
What I did in there today just shows that it's not about the outcome, it's that all girls should have a chance. It doesn't matter if I won or lost.
Fighting to fight the way she is, wearing a hijab, that in itself is a success.
Felt like I had a purpose, you know? And when I look over, my coach said, look over at all those kids, we're here for them.
History made in a Minneapolis ring.
It takes one person to create change.
I'm so proud of you!
Tonight, it was Amaya Zafar's turn.
A challenge to California's ban on so-called gay conversion therapy has been rejected by the Supreme Court. In turning away an appeal from a San Diego minister and others who argued the law violated their First Amendment religious freedoms, the justices did not comment Monday. The Federal Appeals Court in San Francisco had previously upheld the law in dismissing the constitutional challenge. In late 2012, Governor Jerry Brown signed the ban into law. The Supreme Court has rejected efforts to upend the California law and a similar ban in New Jersey since then.
Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg traveled to parts of the Midwest over the weekend, including having a surprise dinner with Trump Democrats in Ohio. He says the trips help him with his work and philanthropy, but some speculate that the 32-year-old may be dipping his toe into politics. Zuckerberg made a surprise stop in an Ohio town where he dined with a local family. They said that he can do a lot outside of his company to help with the gridlock in Washington. Zuckerberg had asked his staff to help him find Democrats who voted for Trump last November. He found what he was looking for with Lisa and Daniel Moore, who had voted for President Obama twice. Zuckerberg continued his tour of the Midwest, visiting with Muslim students, heroin addicts in Dayton, Ohio, and stopping by a farm in Wisconsin. Zuckerberg's personal challenge for 2017 was to visit people in all 50 states, causing some to speculate that he may in fact be working on a political run. On top of starting a Facebook page to document his travels, Zuckerberg spoke about the globalization of technology and a desperate need for the nation to come together.
Tens of thousands marched through the streets of Los Angeles on May Day, demonstrators highlighting a variety of issues, but as with other rallies organized from the West Coast to the East, the rights of migrant workers were key, just as they were on the first International Workers' Day in 1891.
The Day of the Worker started here in the United States in the 1800s in Chicago, and then it spread throughout the world. Then we changed it here because of political reasons, but now we're taking it back because it is the workers of this country, the immigrants, that are really paving the way for the greatness of this country.
International Workers' Day is a commemoration of a bloody crackdown on laborers, many of them recent European migrants, who went on strike to demand an 8-hour working day at the end of the 19th century in Haymarket Square, Chicago.
Immigrants were absolutely central to the struggle for the work-hour day and the class struggle against the capitalists during that period and many other periods in our country.
But successive U.S. governments have attempted to remove the link between May the 1st and international solidarity for workers' rights. In the 20s, the day was named Americanization Day. Since the late 50s, it's officially been Loyalty Day. Organizers this year hope to capitalize on the reawakening of street protest in the U.S. since the election of Donald Trump. There were calls for general strikes across the country, and in D.C., a day without immigrants was declared. Many migrant workers taking the day off work to mobilize, some with the support of employers, others without.
A powerful storm system bore down on the eastern United States on Monday after spawning tornadoes and torrential rains that killed at least 16 people and shut down hundreds of roads over the weekend. The storm that tore through the central United States from Texas to Illinois could spawn damaging winds, hail, and tornadoes as it heads into parts of the middle Atlantic and northeast. High water in Missouri on Monday forced about 330 roads to close, including a stretch of Interstate 44 near Rolla. More than 100 highways were also shut in neighboring Arkansas. Tornadoes from the storm system killed 4 people on Saturday in Canton, Texas, about 60 miles east of Dallas. The National Weather Service said Canton was hit by 4 tornadoes, with 2 packing winds of 136 to 165 miles per hour.
For the newly displaced from western Mosul, those who finally escaped ISIL, fear will take time to lessen, while worry and weariness still remain. The faces of the young tell the story as clearly as the words of the old.
Half of my family is still there. It's a miserable situation. Some of my brothers are there. Some of my sons are there.
As the man tells me more about the horror he and his relatives experienced, he breaks down again.
It's catastrophic. It's like we were prisoners. If they caught someone with a phone, they beheaded him.
While the new residents are registered, families are also fed. But kindness is something they're no longer accustomed to.
I feel I'm in a different world, like I was living underground and now I'm above ground.
Mattresses and blankets have been distributed, but even with tents to stay in, relief is little felt yet.
About 200 people in Portland, Oregon, including some families with children, joined many thousands of others across the country in pro-labor, pro-immigration, and anti-President Donald Trump rallies on May Day. Police in Portland, Oregon say the permit obtained for the May Day rally and march there was canceled as some marchers began throwing projectiles at officers. All participants were encouraged to leave the march as smoke bombs and other items continued to be thrown at police Monday afternoon. Police say the permit was being canceled due to numerous incidents of thrown projectiles, incendiary devices, and other unsafe conditions. Officers have arrested at least 3 people during the rally and march that they say became a riot. Anarchists destroyed a police car, damaged numerous windows and property, started fires in the streets, and attacked police. Police were telling people to leave the area or risk arrest after canceling the permit obtained for the May Day event. It was not immediately clear if anyone had been injured.
The Milwaukee Sheriff's Office continued using water deprivation as a form of punishment at its jail even after an inmate died of dehydration, prosecutors on Monday told a jury deciding whether criminal charges are warranted. Prosecutors conducting an inquest into the death of 38-year-old Terrell Thomas presented jurors with jail logs documenting 2 cases in which disobeying inmates had water to their cells turned off, both within a month of Thomas dying after spending 7 days alone in a cell without water, according to the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office.
An unprecedented legislation in Nevada is trying to force pharmaceutical companies to disclose how they set insulin prices and issue refunds to diabetics or their insurance companies if annual price hikes surpass inflation. Las Vegas casino owners have banded together with their employees' unions to support the bill, which is expected to face its first vote in early May and would cap how much employers, insurers, and corporate middlemen pay for insulin.
A show of strength between the Philippine Navy versus the visiting naval forces from China, but the mood is light and friendly. For the first time in 9 years, 3 Chinese warships have been allowed to visit the Philippines upon the invitation of President Rodrigo Duterte. They have docked in Davao City in southern Philippines. Duterte went on board together with his top military officials.
Very impressive. It's clean, and even the carpeting, it's all carpeted inside, and it's like a hotel.
And out in the South China Sea, China's dominance is quite clear. Its military expansion and its claim over most of the South China Sea have raised tensions between the Philippines and other regional countries. This is why during the time of former President Benigno Aquino, the government filed a landmark case against China at The Hague. The Philippines won, and China's claim was declared invalid by an international tribunal. It was seen globally as a major victory, a small country like the Philippines standing up to a superpower like China.
This was the last time Chancellor Angela Merkel visited Russia and President Vladimir Putin. Their relationship has been somewhat strained.
The problem is lack of trust. I think there is fundamental concern in the West that Ukraine perhaps was just one example of what Russia could do. There is also significant concern about alleged Russian meddling in European Union elections, and these are critical elections.
The war in Ukraine has played a large part in souring relations, as did the downing of Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 in 2014. The annexation of Crimea and the ensuing European sanctions have hurt the Russian economy. It'll be a main topic of conversation, but no one is expecting any breakthroughs. Another issue, the war in Syria. Russia has helped turn the war in President Bashar al-Assad's favor. The Kremlin has always been clear on its insistence for Assad to stay in power, at least for now. Economic interests could be discussed too. Germany is one of Russia's main trading partners, and economic and energy ties have largely survived the sanctions imposed in 2014.
Politics aside, the 2 leaders share somewhat of a personal history. Angela Merkel, once a quantum chemist, grew up in East Berlin and she speaks Russian, while Vladimir Putin, a former KGB officer, was stationed there and he speaks German. The 2 leaders are often quoted as having a deep mistrust of one another, but many also say that there is mutual respect. It's a relationship that has kept the media entertained.
Jerusalem, a city holy to Muslims, Jews, and Christians, and a major point of tension between Israelis and Palestinians. The UN's Paris-based cultural agency, UNESCO, is wading into the issue once again. Its executive board is expected to vote on a resolution on Tuesday that says any Israeli action that alter the character and status of the holy city of Jerusalem, and in particular the basic law on Jerusalem, are null and void and must be rescinded forthwith.
Changing the dynamics on the ground requires also international will and international actions. And this resolution intends to give the legal coverage for that will and that action. As such, we expect that the international community will follow suit and will take actions according to their international legal obligations.
Israel occupied East Jerusalem in 1967. 200,000 Israeli settlers live in that part of the city. No country recognizes that annexation, and settlements are already illegal under international law. Both Israel and Palestine claim Jerusalem as the capital of their state. Israel says the resolution is politically motivated and could be an obstacle to peace.
Several southern states braced for severe weather Monday in the week of storms, tornadoes and flooding. The natural disasters claimed 16 lives and left authorities in Arkansas searching for 2 children swept away by raging waters. The outbreak began Saturday over much of the U.S. Midwest and South. It included at least 4 tornadoes in Texas and severe flooding after more than a foot of rain fell in parts of Missouri. More flooding and tornadoes are possible as storms move eastward in a band stretching from Alabama into the Ohio River Valley.
The Adelanto detention facility near San Bernardino, California, is the state's largest detention center, housing more than 1,800 immigrants awaiting hearings or deportation after being arrested by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. About 240 of the detainees at Adelanto are women. Adelanto is run by Geo Group, a private Florida-based company that runs multiple correctional and detention facilities. Since President Trump has taken office, senior ICE official David Marin says little has changed in the day-to-day operations at Adelanto.
The president has been talking tough on North Korea, saying a military option remains on the table and sending an aircraft carrier strike group to the region. But President Trump says he'll also consider diplomacy and, under the right circumstances, would be prepared to sit down with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, even adding he'd be honored to hold such a meeting. These comments following another interview in which he seemed to praise the volatile young leader.
Obviously, he's a pretty smart cookie, but we have a situation that we just cannot let what's been going on for a long period of years continue.
The White House says the issue of North Korea explains another controversial comment by the president. In a phone call over the weekend, he invited the president of the Philippines to come here on an official visit. Reporters pushed Press Secretary Sean Spicer on President Rodrigo Duterte's human rights record. The Philippines leader has boasted of ordering extrajudicial killings.
It is an opportunity for us to work with countries in that region that can help play a role in diplomatically and economically isolating North Korea. And frankly, the national interests of the United States, the safety of our people and the safety of people in the region are the #1 priorities of the president.
The White House is clearly trying every possible approach to persuade North Korea, which has attempted 9 missile launches since Trump came into office, to change its behavior. Of all the options, a face-to-face meeting between the two leaders looks a very remote possibility. James Bays, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Bill Shine's exit at Fox News has had conservative figures and fans predicting that the end is nigh for the right-wing channel, and the Twitter sphere is apparently rejoicing. Fox News President Roger Ailes stepped down in July 2016, and Bill O'Reilly was canned this past April. Now conservative talk show host Sean Hannity claims that if Bill Shine is out, it will be the total end of the FNC as we know it. Well, Shine is out, and Fox's friends and foes alike are waiting with bated breath to see if the network will survive Shine's ouster. Shine was a 20-year veteran of Fox.